had also a bunch of questions about the equipment in the course. So what Pilates equipment will you learn? What Pilates equipment do you need to do the diploma? This diploma, differently from previous diplomas, this diploma is now focused 100% around reformer and mat work. And in past times, the diploma was taught with all of the studio equipment, the Cadillac, the chair, the barrels. And that's where, one of the ways in which this new diploma is quite different to previous diplomas. And the reason that we are focusing on reformer and mat work is simply because that's what the vast majority of our students and graduates tell us they are using in the workplace. There are very few workplaces that have a full range of studio equipment, whereas basically every workplace and even Zoom, you can do some combination of reformer or mat work. So we will teach you to use your existing knowledge of mat work and reformer to rehabilitate the client. So this course is not about learning repertoire. There'll be a lot of Pilates practice. You will be using your, using your body and practicing movements a fair bit. But we're going to assume that you have a prior knowledge of at least one of either mat work or reformer, and preferably both. And that you are confident teaching a group class in mat work or reformer. And so what we're going to do then is we're going to take your existing skill set and say, okay, well, how can we take this exercise that you already know and break it down so it's suitable for someone who just had a rotator cuff surgery, or so that it's suitable for somebody who just had a knee reconstruction, or so it's suitable for someone with osteoporosis, or so it's suitable for someone with, pelvic organ prolapse or whatever it might be. So what we'll be focusing on is not, learning exercises so much as thinking critically about our tools, the mat, a fit ball, a flex band, a can of tomato soup, a reformer strap, thinking, critically about our tools and how can we use these tools to apply load and range of motion to this body part at the correct dose, in the correct amount that this person needs right now, and then how can we progress that and how can we regress it? So we're not going to be learning a list of exercises. We're going to be problem solving based on using what tools you have to hand. Now, if you want to focus on mat work, you can focus on just mat work. We are going to do a fair bit of work on reformer as well. And so I would recommend, in terms of equipment, that if you really want to get the most out of the course, that you get yourself access to a reformer. Now, many of you will already have that because you're working at a studio. You can just go practice at a studio, whatever. We also have for sale a folding reformer, which is an at-home type reformer. It's not a full commercial machine. You shouldn't teach clients on it. It's, for home use only, but it's a fantastic machine for you to practice and perfect the moves on and to muck around and, play with lines of pull and force vectors and things and figure out how to get load on certain body parts. And it's $1,500 including delivery anywhere in Australia or New Zealand, which is pretty darn close to cost price. Like basically it's, we're just offering it to you, not to make money on it, but just so you have access to a reformer. And that's about half of the price of the cheapest commercial reformer you will find, and a quarter of the price of something like an Allegro. So you don't have to have access to a reformer, but I highly recommend you do. And you don't have to have skill in mat work and reformer, but you have to have skill in mat work or reformer. And if you've got both, great. But either way, you'll pick up a bit of both, but we're not going to be teaching you a list of exercises. We assume you already know those. All right, next question is around, got a couple of questions around self-mastery hours. So self-mastery hours involve you doing your personal practice of the skills and the moves, and also you observing skilled practitioners doing the skills and the moves. And unlike, I think, any other course that I'm aware of anywhere in the world, all of that is included in the diploma. So it's when you enroll, probably not when you enroll, in December this year, you'll receive a course schedule, a learning schedule, which will map out week by week what you need to do each week, your lecture, your tutorial, your masterclasses, what you need to do in your coursework, etc., what to practice in your practice teaching sessions. And so all of that is included in the course schedule. Your masterclasses and your practice teaching sessions are included in the course cost, and they include that if you simply follow the schedule, you will accrue all the hours you need to accrue. You need a total of 80 hours of personal practice and 80 hours of observation. So that is observation / participation. So, and basically if you just follow the learning schedule and do your 2 masterclasses and 2 practice teaching sessions each week by the end of the course. And that even allows you leeway to miss a week here and there and still hit the 80 hours by the end of the course. So there's that. And when can you start logging your mastery hours? Or basically as soon as you enroll, you can start logging your hours. And, you can do your mastery hours outside of the course. You can do some of them outside of the course. So, for instance, if you've got a local studio that you want to work at or whatever, you can do that. However, you do need to do at least 50% of your hours within the course because in those self-mastery or in those masterclasses, my apologies, and in your practice teaching sessions with your classmates, you will be not just watching kind of general clinical Pilates, you will be practicing the specific skills that you're learning each week in the course. So it actually forms part of the skill development process is to practice, to that schedule. So we're not covering the studio equipment, as I mentioned before. That was another question, and the studio equipment's been separated out. We're very likely going to offer the studio equipment course as a separate standalone course, probably in the second half of 2021. It's going to be unrelated to the diploma, so the studio equipment course won't have any clinical content in it. It will be just here's how to do the exercises on the Cadillac, on the chair, on the barrels, etc. And I can't tell you the cost or the duration of that because we haven't written the course yet. But I can tell you it will be some small fraction of the cost and duration of the diploma. So, roughly kind of sort of, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks and, $500 to $1,000. Don't hold me to that because, like I said, the course hasn't been written yet, so I'm just guessing. But, I think that's the order of magnitude that we're going to be talking about. The studio equipment course is not required, necessary, or needed in order to do the clinical course, and it's not, it's only if you're interested in studio equipment, with or without the diploma, there'll be a course for that. And how long do I have to do the diploma? So the course itself, the structured learning for the course is over a period basically of a year. So it starts in January 2021 and it will finish in December 2021. There are basically 3 modules of about 14 weeks each module, with a break of a couple of weeks in between each module. And then, of course, there's a couple of breaks for Easter and various other public holidays. So there's a total of 43 weeks of classes spread out over a year, basically. And so if you follow the learning schedule, which requires you to do 9 hours per week of lectures, tutorials, masterclasses, and personal practice and coursework total. At the end of that course, you'll be done. You'll be ready to graduate the day you finish. However, if you fall a bit behind in some aspect, like your coursework or your personal practice or whatever, you have up to a total of 18 months. So you have an additional 6 months after the course finish date to complete your coursework, etc. And then after the 18-month mark, look, if you're not completed, the course closes and that's it, finita la musica. And then you won't, at that point, if you haven't completed the work, you won't receive the qualification. So what we find by experience is that the vast majority of people are able to complete our courses very close to the scheduled, time. So, in this case, it's basically 12 months. And I would say that, there's a very good likelihood that you will be in that basket. If, exceptional circumstances happen and, for whatever reason, you can't keep up, quite with the schedule, you've got an additional 6 months of buffer. And when is the next diploma and how many intakes will there be? And so at the moment, we only have one scheduled, and that is scheduled for January 2021 intake, and the enrolment close date is the 30th of December 2020. So you need to be enrolled by the 30th of December 2020 in order to start the course in January 2021, because there's some organisation we need to do behind the scenes, once you're enrolled, in order to make your place ready for you and prepare materials and whatever. So, we need that month. And at the moment, we don't have another intake scheduled, and that is, really going to be dictated by how many people enrol. So, the more enrolments we get, the more likely we are to schedule another one sooner. Maybe this will be a one-off. Maybe it'll be once a year. Maybe it'll be twice a year. I don't think it'll be more often than that. But we'll wait and see what enrolments we get.